love, pain, truth.
Elena had been standing in front of the hallway mirror for almost 10 minutes, fixing a smile that didn't feel real. The charity gala was about to start, and her home, the big lakeside mansion with the crystal chandeliers and marble floors, was already filled with guests in expensive suits and glittering dresses. She had planned every detail of the evening, from the flower arrangements to the jazz band, just like she had planned every dinner party, every school event, and every holiday for the past 12 years. Her husband, the man everyone called a real estate genius, was already downstairs shaking hands and laughing with investors. She could hear his voice echo through the foyer. It was a confident voice, a voice that never asked for anyone's permission. Elena smoothed her silk gown and walked down the curved staircase. A few guests turned and complimented her. "You look beautiful," they said. "You two are such a power couple." She nodded and smiled again. That smile had become her uniform, but something had been different lately. She just didn't want to admit it. For the past few months, her husband had stopped looking at her when he spoke. Not in an angry way, in an empty way, like she was a piece of furniture he had owned for too long. He would come home late, sometimes after midnight, smelling of perfume that wasn't hers. When she asked about his day, he gave one-word answers while staring at his phone. When she reached for his hand at dinner, he found a reason to stand up. At first, Elena told herself it was work. He was closing big deals, traveling more, meeting new people. She had given up her career as an architect when they got married because he had promised, "Let me take care of you. Let me take care of everything." And she had believed him. She had traded her drafting table for a stove, her building plans for school permission slips. She loved her two children, a boy of 10 and a girl of 8, more than anything in the world. But somewhere along the way, she had lost the woman who used to dream about designing skyscrapers. Her best friend, a high school teacher named Chloe, had tried to warn her. At coffee last Tuesday, Chloe had leaned across the table and said, "I saw him at the new restaurant downtown. He was with a young woman. Very young. They looked close." Elena had laughed it off. "He's networking," she said. "You know how he is." But that night, she couldn't sleep. She lay next to her husband in the dark, listening to him breathe, and wondered when exactly they had become strangers sharing a bed. Then came the anniversary. Their 15th wedding anniversary was supposed to be special. Elena had booked a private dinner at the same restaurant where he had proposed. She had bought a new dress, arranged for the kids to stay at her mother's house, and even learned to cook his favorite dessert from scratch. But when the evening came, he walked through the door at 10 o'clock, loosened his tie, and said, "Oh, was that today? Sorry, work ran late." No gift, no apology, just tired eyes and a shrug. The next morning, Elena found a receipt in the pocket of his suit jacket. It was for a luxury watch from a designer store downtown. The watch was a women's model. Elegant, expensive, and definitely not for her. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She folded the receipt carefully, placed it back in the pocket, and pretended she had never seen it. Because admitting what it meant would be like admitting her whole life had been a mistake. And she wasn't ready for that. But a week later, he came home early. That alone should have been a warning sign. He rarely came home before 8. He found her in the kitchen, packing lunchboxes for the children's school trip the next day. He stood in the doorway for a long moment, then said her name softly. "Elena, we need to talk." She looked up, a peanut butter sandwich in her hand. "Can it wait? I have to finish these before the kids go to bed." "No," he said. "It can't." He led her to the living room. The same living room where they had danced after their wedding. The same couch where they had held their babies for the first time. He sat across from her, not next to her. That's when she knew. He slid a manila folder across the coffee table. "I'm filing for divorce," he said. His voice was flat, rehearsed. "I've met someone else. It's serious, and I don't want to drag this out." Elena stared at the folder. She actually laughed. A short, confused laugh. "Is this a joke? Did you lose a bet?" He didn't smile. She opened the folder. Legal papers. A settlement offer. Words like irreconcilable differences and custody arrangement. Her hands started shaking. The peanut butter sandwich was still on the kitchen counter. The kids were upstairs brushing their teeth. Her whole world was ending on a Tuesday night, and she hadn't even finished packing the lunch boxes. "You'll be taken care of," he said, standing up. "As long as you don't fight it. I've been fair. You can keep the house." But I want the kids every other weekend and holidays. Elena couldn't speak. She couldn't breathe. She looked at his face, the face she had kissed goodnight for 15 years, and saw a stranger. A stranger who had already moved on. A stranger who had probably planned every word of this speech months ago. He walked toward the door, then paused. I'll stay at the hotel downtown tonight. Take your time to read everything. My lawyer will call tomorrow. The door closed. The house went silent. Elena sat alone in the living room, the folder in her lap, and listened to the sound of her daughter Mia calling from upstairs. Mom, can you tuck me in? She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. She stood up. She walked upstairs and tucked her daughter into bed, kissed her son's forehead, and turned off the lights. Then she went back downstairs, opened the folder again, and realized for the first time that she had never truly known the man she married. And that was just the beginning. The first morning after he left, Elena woke up to an empty bed and a strange kind of quiet. No shower running, no coffee maker beeping, just the sound of birds outside and her own heartbeat, loud and confused. For a moment, she forgot. Then she saw the manila folder on her nightstand, and everything came rushing back. She walked downstairs and opened the refrigerator. It was full of food she had bought for him. His favorite yogurt, his brand of orange juice. She stared at the shelves like they were a foreign country. Then she closed the door and leaned her forehead against it. She didn't cry. She was too tired for tears. The children ate breakfast slowly, looking at her with worried eyes. Her son Leo asked, "Where's Dad?" Elena said he was traveling for work. It wasn't technically a lie. He was traveling away from them. Forever. Over the next few days, Elena tried to read the legal papers, but the language was cold and confusing. Words like petitioner and respondent and marital dissolution. She had built a home for 12 years, raised 2 beautiful children, supported her husband through business failures and successes, and now she was being reduced to a few pages of legal terms. The settlement offer looked generous on the surface. She could keep the house. She would get a monthly check. But when she looked closer, she realized the house had a mortgage she couldn't afford on her own, and the monthly check was barely enough for groceries and school fees. Her mother called from across the country. "Come home," she said. "Bring the kids. Let us take care of you." But Elena couldn't run. Not yet. Something inside her refused to pack a single bag. Then her friend Chloe showed up at the front door with a box of donuts and a private investigator's business card. "I found him online," Chloe said. "He helped my cousin during her divorce. Just make a call. What's the worst that could happen?" Elena hesitated for 3 days. Then she made the call. The investigator was a quiet woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She didn't promise miracles. She just said, "Give me 2 weeks. Don't tell anyone." Elena agreed. She paid with money she had secretly saved from holiday gifts over the years. It wasn't much, but it was hers. 2 weeks later, the investigator came back with a thick envelope. Elena opened it in her car, parked outside a grocery store. Inside were bank statements, property records, and photos. Her husband had opened 2 offshore accounts 18 months ago. He had bought a condo across town, a modern place with a rooftop pool, and paid cash. The deed had another woman's name on it. A young woman. The same young woman Chloe had seen at the restaurant. Elena sat in her car for a long time. She watched people walk in and out of the grocery store with their shopping carts. Normal people with normal lives. She wondered if any of them had ever felt this kind of betrayal. Not just the affair, the planning, the hiding, the lies. He hadn't just fallen for someone else. He had spent months, maybe a year, carefully moving money and building a new life while pretending to come home to her every night. That night, she called her old mentor from architecture school, a woman named Patricia who had run her own firm for 30 years and never married. Patricia listened without interrupting. When Elena finished, Patricia said, "You designed a library when you were 22 that made me cry. You think I forgot? Come back. Draw again. Fight for yourself the way you used to fight for every project." Elena laughed weakly. "I haven't touched a drafting table in 12 years. So," Patricia said, "you didn't forget how to breathe. You didn't forget how to love your children. You didn't forget how to survive. Drawing is the same." Something shifted in Elena's chest. A small flame. Not hope exactly. More like anger wrapped in purpose. She hired a new lawyer. A woman recommended by Patricia. A former public defender with a loud laugh and a reputation for not backing down. The new lawyer looked at the settlement offer and laughed. "He's trying to scare you," she said. He thinks you'll sign anything because you're scared and tired. But we have the investigator's report. We have the hidden accounts. We have the condo. He didn't just cheat on you. He stole from you. Elena signed the papers to fight back. When her husband found out, he was furious. His lawyer called Elena's lawyer and yelled for 20 minutes. Then Elena's husband cut off her credit cards. All of them. He drained the joint account. He even canceled the family's streaming services. It was petty and cruel. He wanted her to feel small. He wanted her to crawl back and beg. Instead, Elena went to a temp agency and got a job drafting basic building plans for a small construction company. The pay was low. The hours were late. Every night, after the children went to sleep, she sat at the kitchen table with a lamp and a laptop, drawing walls and windows and roofs. Her back ached. Her eyes burned. But her hands remembered. Line by line, the architect inside her woke up. She didn't tell anyone about the job, not even Chloe, because this wasn't about revenge. This was about survival. And survival, Elena was learning, was quiet and lonely and full of midnight cups of cold coffee. One afternoon, her daughter Mia came home from school with red eyes. A classmate had shown her an article online. A gossip blog had written about the divorce, calling Elena a gold digger who hadn't worked a day in her life. The comments section was cruel. Strangers judged her marriage, her choices, her worth. Mia cried into Elena's shoulder. "They don't even know you, Mom." Elena held her daughter tight. "I know," she whispered. "And that's why we don't let strangers decide who we are." That night, Elena looked in the bathroom mirror. Her hair was messy. Her face was pale. There were dark circles under her eyes. But her eyes themselves were different. Sharper. Brighter. She looked at the woman staring back and said out loud, "They want you broken. Tomorrow, you walk in standing straight." The final hearing was only 3 days away. Her husband thought she would show up scared and alone. He had no idea she had been working in the dark. He had no idea about the investigator, the new lawyer, the midnight blueprints, or the flame burning inside her chest. He had no idea he was about to lose far more than a marriage. The morning of the final hearing, Elena woke up before the sun. She stood in her closet and looked at all the designer dresses her husband had bought her over the years. Expensive fabrics, bright colors. None of them felt like hers anymore. Instead, she chose a simple navy dress she had bought from a regular department store last week. No jewelry, no heavy makeup, just herself, clean and honest. She made breakfast for the children, packed their lunches, and kissed them goodbye. Her son Leo hugged her tighter than usual. "You got this, Mom," he whispered. She didn't know where he had learned those words, but they stayed with her all the way to the courthouse. The courthouse was a gray building with long hallways and the smell of old wood. Elena walked in with her new lawyer, the one with the loud laugh and the steady eyes. Across the hallway, she saw her husband sitting on a wooden bench. Beside him was the young woman from the photos, the one who had moved into the condo bought with cash. They were holding hands. When he saw Elena, he looked away quickly. For the first time, he seemed uncomfortable. Not guilty, just uncomfortable. There's a difference. The hearing began in a small room with a judge at the front. The judge was a woman in her 60s with tired eyes and a calm voice. She had probably seen hundreds of marriages fall apart in this very room. Elena's husband's lawyer went first. He argued that Elena was unemployable and accustomed to a lifestyle she didn't earn. Those exact words. Elena felt her face get hot, but she didn't react. She had promised herself she would not cry in this room. Then her lawyer stood up. She placed the investigator's report on the table. She showed the judge bank records, property deeds, receipts, 18 months of hidden accounts, a condo bought during the marriage, luxury cars and vacations paid for with money that should have been shared. The judge's expression changed. She looked at Elena's husband with something cold and quiet. The young woman in the back of the room shifted in her seat. She was no longer holding his hand. Elena's lawyer called her husband to the stand. He swore to tell the truth. Then the questions began. Did you open an offshore account in March of last year? Silence. Did you purchase a condominium on Westlake Drive without your wife's knowledge? More silence. Did you spend marital funds on gifts and trips for another person? He tried to explain, but his words twisted and fell apart. The more he spoke, the smaller he looked. The confident man who had slid a folder across the coffee table was gone. In his place was someone cornered and frightened. Then it was Elena's turn to speak. She walked to the stand with her heart pounding. The judge asked her to state her name and relationship to the case. Elena took a breath. Then she said, "I was his wife for 15 years. I am the mother of his 2 children. And I am the woman who gave up her career because he asked me to. That was my labor. That was my contribution. And I am here today to say it has value." She didn't shout. She didn't cry. She just spoke the truth like someone reading a letter she had written 1,000 times in her head. She talked about the late nights packing lunches while he traveled, the school plays she attended alone, the charity events she organized that built his reputation, the years she spent making a home so he could build an empire. She talked about the receipt in the suit pocket, the canceled credit cards, the midnight drawings at the kitchen table. When she finished, the room was completely silent. Even the young woman in the back was staring at the floor. The judge took a few minutes to review everything. Then she made her decision. Elena would receive not just the original settlement, but a full share of the hidden assets. The condo on Westlake Drive would be sold and the money split equally. Her husband would pay her legal fees. And because he had tried to hide money during the marriage, the judge added something called rehabilitative alimony, money meant to help Elena go back to school or retrain for her career. Elena's lawyer squeezed her hand under the table. Elena didn't smile. She just exhaled, long and slow, like she had been holding her breath for a year. Outside the courthouse, the sun was bright and cold. Her husband walked past her without a word. The young woman followed a few steps behind, her heels clicking on the sidewalk. They didn't look at each other. Elena wondered if that condo would feel empty tonight. She decided it didn't matter. She moved out of the big lakeside mansion 3 weeks later. The house was too large and too expensive and too full of memories that no longer fit. She found a small townhouse with 3 bedrooms, a tiny kitchen, and a backyard the size of a postage stamp. The children picked out paint colors. Leo wanted blue. Mia wanted purple. Elena painted both rooms herself, one wall at a time, with a roller and a lot of patience. She enrolled in a part-time program to update her architecture license. Patricia, her old mentor, gave her a small desk in the corner of her firm's office. At first, Elena just answered phones and fetched coffee. But after a few weeks, Patricia handed her a real project, a women's shelter across town. "Design it," Patricia said. "Make it feel like home for people who have lost everything." Elena worked on those plans every night after the children went to sleep. She drew warm lights and safe corners and big windows that let the sun pour in. She thought about every woman who had ever sat in a courthouse or a lawyer's office or a kitchen table at midnight, trying to rebuild. She designed for them. 1 year later, the shelter opened. Elena stood at the ribbon-cutting ceremony with her children beside her. People clapped and took photos. A reporter asked her to say a few words. She looked at the building she had designed and thought about how far she had come from that Tuesday night when a folder was slid across a coffee table. Just then, a car slowed down on the street. An older model Lexus. The window rolled down. It was her ex-husband. He looked thinner, tired. The young woman was not with him. Someone had told Elena she left after the legal fees piled up and the money ran thinner than expected. He looked at Elena, then at the shelter, then back at Elena. "I made a mistake," he said. His voice was soft, almost humble. Elena looked at him for a long moment. She felt no anger, no sadness, no leftover love, just a quiet sense of completion. She smiled, not because she was happy to see him, but because she was finally free. "You made a choice," she said. "So did I." She took her children's hands and walked into the shelter. The doors closed behind her with a soft click. Inside, women were already gathering, looking at the warm lights and the big windows. A new beginning for them. A new beginning for Elena. She never expected her rich husband to end their marriage for a new romance. But in losing everything she thought she wanted, she found everything she actually needed. Her own hands, her own mind, her own life. And that, she finally understood, was worth more than any mansion or marriage certificate ever could be.